The best evidence that warning labels in plain packaging is efficacious is how hard the tobacco companies are fighting to stop it. One way that the companies have left to communicate the imagery that they use to sell cigarettes to the public is the pack itself. And by covering up part of the pack with a warning label, and by, as Australia has now done, gone to plain packaging where all cigarette packs look the same other than the name of the product, that marketing device is being taken away from the cigarette companies. And that's going to make fewer kids start smoking and make it easier for people to quit. In a way, putting graphic warning labels on cigarette packs is simply leveling the playing field between the public health forces and the tobacco companies. Right now, tobacco companies can sell their products with beautifully packaged materials, with beautiful advertising. And the government and the public health forces are reduced to some very high-level language printed in a hard-to-read type on the side of the package. Putting graphic warning labels on the front and back of the package puts the information out there in a way which is much more accessible, much more salient, and much more meaningful to the public. And that's what the companies have understood for decades, and that's why they've organized internationally to try to prevent the development of pictorial warning labels in plain packaging. Tobacco companies really appreciate the value of precedent. There's no place, no country too small for them to intervene and stop public health innovation, because they realize that once public health innovations like warning labels, like clean indoor air laws were here in California, get established, no matter how small or out of the way the place, they have a tendency to spread. And so whereas the public health interests tended to view the debate over warning labels as a national issue, as a local issue, the cigarette companies created international task forces run by Philip Morris, British American Tobacco, the other major multinationals, from the very beginning in order to stop these efforts. Warning labels that we have here in the United States are on the side of the packages. The language is very, very complicated, advanced language. It requires a high level of reading ability. And they've worn out. They've been there for decades. Nobody notices them anymore. And the whole idea of pictorial warnings on the front of the pack is that they'll be large and they'll communicate to smokers the same way the tobacco companies communicate to smokers, using pictures and not using a lot of complicated language. And studies around the world have shown that these very strong graphic warning labels increase the smoker's awareness of the dangers of smoking. They're much more salient, and the message are communicated to the point that when Brazil first introduced its graphical warning labels, some of the cigarette companies were giving away cigarette boxes that you could put the pack in that would cover up the warning labels, until the government told them they couldn't do that.